Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at the surface of the moon. Well, okay, maybe not. I know that you already saw the thumbnail, so you know exactly what we're going to be talking about. Textured ceilings, or popcorn ceiling, or acoustic ceiling, or whatever it is that you want to call them. These guys have a tendency over time, when they get really old and brittle, they have a problem where they start separating from the ceiling and they start coming down. A lot of times people make very complicated repairs when you have to spray something on and so forth. But I'm going to show you how to fix it the easy way, a way that I've created myself. And this way you see right here, I'm showing you how this area is starting to come down. You couldn't tell by looking at it, but once you start poking at it, you see that this area is starting to come down. Now this is like a 2-foot square area that we're going to be working with, so it's not very gigantic. It's a perfect example for a problem that can come up and how to take care of it. And this is something that you want to take care of it like this right when it's a situation where it's starting to sag just a little bit. Not to the point where it's starting to sag so much that it really separates and falls down. You don't want to wait that long because then it's practically impossible to put it back. And then you're going to have to get to the point of actually spraying the ceiling and hoping that it matches. This way, the way I'm going to show you today, you're not going to have any kind of matching problems. It's going to look exactly the way it looks right now, and no one is going to know that you actually did a repair. And I know I'm pretty sure I'm going to get somebody that makes a comment that says, why did you just take it all down? Acoustic ceilings are old. Why don't you get rid of it? Well, let me show you the rest of the room. When you look at the entire room, you see that it's actually in perfectly good condition. Now, this is like a 12 by 12 room, something like that. And the entire ceiling is perfectly fine. Just this one little area over here is starting to give me a little bit of trouble. So why do I want to go through the trouble and expense of moving all the furniture out, covering everything up, ripping down the ceiling, fixing any problems, repainting, all that kind of stuff, when I can do this in just a matter of a few hours and no one will know that there was actually a problem there? The ceiling looks perfectly fine as it is right now, and personally, I don't have a problem with acoustic ceilings. In fact, I like them because they work out for me just fine. For someone like me that does a lot of video recording and so forth, acoustic ceilings are excellent for keeping down echoes and any kind of weird noises and vibrations when you're trying to do a noise-free recording like what I'm doing right now. I have acoustic ceilings throughout my entire house. They work out great. They keep down the echoes because it breaks down the sound vibrations as they go through the room. So as you can see here, this ceiling looks good and we're going to keep it looking this way. Now, if you don't like acoustic ceilings and you want to take it down, that's your choice, but I'm not going to go that route. So I'm going to show you something that I've done many times, and it's worked out for me just great. And I actually have learned from my trial and error, and I'm going to show you the best way to take care of this stuff so you don't have to go through the trial and error that I've gone through. And all the repairs that I've done are still holding up. They work great, so I can tell you this is a method that does hold up. I can guarantee you because I have had repairs that I did years ago, and they're still holding up, and the repair areas have never given me any trouble, but other areas may give you trouble. Like this area is going to stay fixed after I'm done, but some other area may give me trouble down the road. So let me show you the materials that you're going to need to take care of this problem, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so here are all the materials that you're going to need, and you probably have this stuff lying around the house already. If you don't, it will probably cost you only pennies to get all this stuff. You're going to start off with some glue, and I recommend using a white glue. Don't use any kind of yellow or colored glues of any color at all, because if you have a white ceiling like I do, any kind of color may bleed through and cause you staining. So white ceiling, use white glue, Elmer's glue, any glue, doesn't really matter. And then you're going to need to get one of these basting syringes. You can get them at the market. It's only like $2 or $3, nothing really special. And then what I did to get me more coverage so I can get better penetration and get more glue further up into the ceiling is you put a little straw on the end of it. And then a little spatula to be able to help you to get the syringe in there so you can spread the glue much more easily. So a little bit of straw at the end of that, a little bit of straw, just tape it onto the end of the syringe, and that's a great way to go. And then the other thing, which is kind of optional, but a smart way to go, is to get this little ratcheting cargo spreader that I got from Harbor Freight years ago. It's a $20 item, not very expensive. And this is only going to be used to apply pressure so you can hold the ceiling up so it'll glue itself properly without getting soggy and coming down. So if you don't have one of these guys and you don't want to go through the expense of buying one, what you could always do is use like a shower curtain rod, one of those modular ones that you can remove and attach somewhere else. A shower curtain rod that is expandable to fit the area. You can just use that, put it on top of a piece of furniture or something like that, and then push up against the ceiling. Use a piece of plywood like I did here, because that little black area, as you can see on the spreader, it's not big enough. So what you do is get a bigger piece of plywood so you distribute the weight more evenly across the entire area that you're working on. Otherwise, the glue won't spread out properly and you may get lumps and bulges and stuff like that. So get a piece of wood big enough to cover the entire area that you're working on. That should take care of distributing everything properly, and then the glue will go everywhere it needs to go and you'll get proper adhesion. So that's a very easy way to take care of it, and these are the only materials that you need. Glue, syringe, spatula. You probably already have this stuff. If you don't, it'll only cost you a couple of bucks to do it, which is a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot easier than having to go the spray route. So let me show you exactly how to take care of this, and let's get started. Alright, so then I'm showing you right there what the spatula is for. It's very easy. All you're going to do is use the little spatula to separate the ceiling. All you got to do is spread one area out, and that way you're going to put the glue in one area. And then when you apply the pressure to it, that's why I told you to get a bigger piece of wood or something like that so you can distribute the pressure evenly, because you're going to put the glue on one side, and then when you put pressure on there, it'll squeeze the glue all the way across into the other side as well. So you don't need to apply to both sides. You only apply enough to one side, and then it evenly spreads itself. It'll ooze its way out across to the other side, and you'll get full coverage across the entire area. This is a simple way, so that way you don't need to cause damage to the ceiling by trying to get into both areas. Try to apply the glue into the area that is the loosest. There's generally one area that comes more loose than the other, and I'm going to show you right there. That's why I decided this part is the easiest one to do it. And then you just stick the straw in there, and then you can remove the spatula. And the straw, the good thing about that is that since it's flexible, you can always squeeze it down. I know a straw is round, but you can squeeze it flat, and that'll make it easier for it to get in there. Then all you do is fill up the syringe with glue, and you're going to squeeze it up inside the ceiling, and that's that. Try not to use too much. A lot of times I don't use too much. This time I went a little bit overboard since I was trying to do the video and I was trying to get full coverage and I didn't want to mess it up and have it go wrong. So I used a little bit too much, and it's going to squeeze out a little bit much more than normal when I do these kind of projects. But like I said, I was doing it for the video and I was more focusing on the video than anything else. And cover up the piece of wood that you use, cover it up with some wax paper. That is wax paper that you see there. And the whole point of that is in case some glue does spill out, which it may happen sometimes. If some glue does come out, it'll stick to the wax paper and not to the wood. And then the good thing is that if it were to stick to the wood, you're going to rip off the ceiling next to the wax paper. You know that it's easy enough to pull it off. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do this in a little bit. As long as, like in this case, that's the nick, we're basically going to look at it right now. I'm going to take it down and I'm going to show you exactly how it comes off. But all you do is let it sit there overnight and the next day you take it down. That is how easy it is to do that project. But one thing I have learned is that sometimes it's not the smartest idea to let it go for a full 24 hours. Sometimes I only let it go like 12 hours, 16 hours, something like that, because you want the glue to still be a little bit wet, a little bit soggy, as I'm going to show you. And that's the problem that I had in this case. A little bit did spill out, but by having the glue be a little bit gooey and gummy, it makes it easier to take apart. So I'm going to show you right now when I take this down how easy it is. You saw it. There was really no work putting it up there, right? And then there is really not that much work taking it down. So right now I'm going to loosen it up. I took off the tape and so forth so that would come apart more easily. And then you see a little bit of glue did spill out. Not from everywhere, just one area. And you can see it right there. So a little bit of glue came out. It stuck to the wax paper, but the wax paper doesn't really bind to anything. So you can just easily pull it off and it will not damage the ceiling. And that's the beauty of it. You see how it's still a little gooey and a little gummy? And that's the whole point of that. It'll come off much more easily. And then you can easily just any of the gooey glue that's still on there without causing damage to the ceiling. And if it's still a little bit hard or something, you can always take like a damp cloth or something and just apply a little bit of pressure and let a little bit of the dampness, the wetness of the cloth get into the glue, and it'll soften it up and make it much, much easier for you to take it apart. And if you have a little bit of glue residue or something like that, no big deal. All you do is get a little bit of spray can, a little primer, a little paint, whatever color you have on there, touch it up a little bit, and you'll be done, and it'll look as good as new. In a minute, I'm going to give you a close up right there. I'm going to check and see if any of it came loose. Sometimes you may not get good adhesion if you don't put enough glue in there. That's why I went a little bit overboard. But in this case, it looks like everything is firmly attached. There's no loose areas, and this will be a good repair for a good long time. And just a little bit of spray touching that up, and you're good to go. It'll look perfectly good. This is in a corner somewhere. Nobody's going to be staring up at it. But I'm going to show you in a minute with the camera looking up really close to it exactly how that would look before I even do any kind of spray to it. Just the repair as it is done before I even touch it up with some paint. Because I didn't have any on hand, I'll go to the store and get some, and I'll wrap that up. So this is an easy repair for you guys to do. Minimal cost, easy enough to do. There's a close-up for you, shows you exactly how that looks. Hope it helps you guys out to take care of repairs without having any real expense or any real kind of problems on your acoustic ceiling. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye for now.